Hi there guys, and welcome to a Train Sim 2024 video. It's been a little while again, I do apologise, and I'm still not used to looking at the right screen, so if I don't look at the camera, I do massively apologise. Today we are taking a look at a route that's been in production now with us for about 18 months on and off, and a little bit more from when we announced it. We're of course talking about Northampton Loop. We're starting here at Rugby. We'll be taking the train down to the end where we rejoin the West Coast Main Line in about 27 miles, I think. Passing a few places on the way, and that'll be us actually driving the whole length of the Northampton Loop section itself. I'm not going to go on too much before we start. Things to cover before we do start, though, are we're in a 350. It's not the best route, best train to show off a route on, but it's the scenario I have at the moment. We are still in, this is still a work in progress build. Very close to release the build I've got, but it is still work in progress one now, so I don't have a set scenario for this. So we are using a 350, so a lot of what we'll see today will be me jumping outside of the cab. I know it's not my usual way to show things off, but we'll make it work. We'll make it work. And yeah, if we do spot anything, I really hope whoever's doing, the beta guys have picked it up and it's been fixed. So anyway, let's get going. And we can then have a look at some other bits and pieces while we're going. I have just asynced us here from Birmingham New Street, just so I could do the scenario from a nice actual patch. So I've just realised I didn't start my controller software. Right, there we go. Let's pull you back up, and then we should be good to go. So just stopped at Rugby. Rugby is the same that's on West Coast Main Line South. So what is this route? This route came from when Dovetail Games released West Coast Main Line South in 2020. And let's be honest, when this route came out, it was an utter shambles. There were some really good bits of it, and there were some really bad bits. But DTG, give them their due, did go about and fix quite a bit of it. Not everything, but they did go through and fix quite a bit. The biggest omission, of course, was the missing part of Northampton Loop, which is a big part of the West Coast Main Line South. This sort of branches off and then comes back onto the West Coast Main Line South and is a route for the freight. I think all of the freight near enough goes down this section now. You've also got Durft on there, or Drift, depending on how you want to say it, Durft. Daventry International Rail Freight Terminal. So it's got a lot of stuff going on it. 1 or 2 expresses, I think, a day. There's a couple of 390 runs on it, not as many as they used to be. But it's still good fun. And it was missing. So we said we'd fill it. And it's taken us a while to get around to doing it. But we've done it. And yeah, it's nigh on finished, guys. So I'm really pleased to be showing it off. This isn't the first time it's been seen. We've shown it off in various states previously. While we've been in the build process, probably from about alpha stage. So just to be clear, we have changed 1 or 2 things on the West Coast Main Line South section. A couple of errant speed limits and some signal stuff. A few bits and pieces, just quality of life improvements. But nothing major. Nothing major. And we have purposely kept this build in line with the DTG scenery. So it is not meant to stand out. It is meant to be quite seamless. We'll be coming onto the loop just about now-ish. I think as soon as we branch off here, we're literally on the loop. And then we've got Long Buckby and then Northampton. So it was just one of those, again, missing link sections. Not missing link our route, the missing link. It's just a missing bit of the West Coast Main Line. It's another little bit in the whole idea of the West Coast Main Line merge, which I will come on to and talk about, because that does include some of the stuff we want to do the West Coast Main Line South upgrade wise. But this is us branching off now onto the loop, so pretty much from just past here onwards is all new. Oh, you may have some little stutters. That is not the route. I'll tell you exactly what that is, even though I've got my new PC. I'm having to record my video because I haven't gone through on my other hard drive onto the hard drive I'm playing from, which is never ideal. So if you do get the odd little, it'll be in the recording. I promise you the route does not run badly at all. It's very lightweight. It's very, very lightweight. It's 27 miles. Right, let's get on to reading the blurb. So, back in 2020, Dovetail Games released West Coast Mainline South, all the way from London, Brighton, Birmingham, a big undertaking considering the numerous yards, 4 and 6 track sections, and a great number of stations. There's one big emission though, Northampton Loop. The loop branches off from the West Coast Mainline, north of Wolverton, and runs for just shy of 24 miles before connecting back near Rugby. Freighters Path, I've got to remember only 75. This is Derft, by the way. We'll have a pop out and have a little look at Derft. I would love to have done a bit more at Derft, but I'm very happy with what we've got currently. So you've got some of the newer sections in, and if I remember rightly, yeah, it goes all the way back up there. And then I think even, yes, that's where we finished now. There is or was talk of going a little bit further with this. So we might get round to upgrading this when we get some new assets at some point. But it's really nice to have it in on the West Coast Mainline section. We've had it in Trent Valley for years. But having it now on actually on the West Coast Mainline, we will be able to make a lot more use of it. Well, I hope you guys will in scenarios, definitely. I forgot how close it was. It's very close. And yeah, remember, it is not small. Oh, hang on, I've done it the wrong way around. I should have shown you this bit, because I think this is the bit that goes further around the back, isn't it? No, it's not. This is the other bit. So yeah, as you can see, it is all modelled in. So we should be able to do some really nice container runs now. Not that we couldn't before, but it's just sort of nice to be able to have them in for, like, scenario playability. How many times is there a scenario that I've seen that I've really wanted somebody to do for us to do the Derft route, and it's like, oh no, we can't, because it would be on the, I just realised I haven't got my headlight, I have. It would be on the West Coast Mainline, the over Shap section, not on the South section, so. I'm pleased to have it in there, and I know a few of the guys that like the freight scenarios would be pleased to have it in there as well. Good 68 territory, and 88 territory. If only we had an 88 then, that would be lovely. Right, anyway, there are currently 2 stations on the loop, down from 5 it had until Kilsby and Crick Althorpe Park. Church Brampton closed in the 20th century. Long Buckby, to no one's amazement, and Northampton still remain. So there's, I think it's like 2 or 3 big tunnels on this route. One of them's got 2 of them have got quite odd stories. One of them, I only found this out today, so I don't expect, I'm not talking to you like I know this, like, oh, I remember this. No, it was 19 something, very early, I think it was 1908. A train arrived at Rugby, I think, with a compartment open, nobody in it. And they thought, well, something should be in there. And then they found a body in the tunnel. I'm not going to say too much more than that, because you know what YouTube's like. But yes, there was also a couple of instances of 2 very similar instances of derailments, which I'm still yet to find too much about. I'm going to go and try and go back and find the accident investigation reports for those. I'm hoping they'll be on Rail Archive. I'm sure they will be. So for a little line like that, I thought that was quite a good little bit of trivia. And for such a small route, it sort of is. It's been so popularly, well, so requested. I can't think of another route this length that has been so well requested ever. I don't think. It's been quite crazy. I think it was just because it was missing. Maybe, I don't know. But it really adds to the scenario stuff for TS Classic, so I'm really pleased to have it in, and the guys have done a sterling job. As you can see when you're in this section, a lot of it is in cuttings, so it's very foliage heavy. But I'm getting 38 FPS now and everything anyway, so really not fussed about the performance of this. It's performing lovely. And whilst we've tried to keep it in line with DTG stuff, it still has Cameron's artistic eye in it. I can still see it. I can still really see it. But I'm very happy with how it's turned out. Also, the timing's not great for a scenario, but I quite like a morning run. I think it shows the route off quite nicely. Our first stop, going southbound, is a place I have never been. Anybody been to Longbuckby? Know what it's famous for? Is it famous for anything? Let me know in the comments, please. I'd like to have some info on it. I should have like even Wikipedia'd it before I started, but I haven't. I'll do it the lazy research way and just see if you guys know. And I think it's always better asking you guys, because you guys always know a little bit more of the railway trivia about it. You could go on sort of like Wikipedia and find out, oh, it was famous for Julie Grant, who was a painter. But you guys are going, yeah, no, actually, there was a class 20 here that caught fire one day and closed the line for 2 days, or something along those lines. Where a music video was filmed or something like that. So as much as it is lazy me asking you to do the comments, and it does help the algorithm, it is for a good reason. So, Longbuckby, I'm not going to be too worried about the timetable in this scenario, guys, so don't worry if we're a little bit late or anything. But it's quite a weird one because you are on a curve, so it's quite nice that way. Oh, there's a little bit of foliage there. I do quite like the way it's on a cant. It really sort of works. And when you've got a 390 in here as well, it does look really cool. You've got your bit down. You've got your little walkways. So it's sort of up there, really, isn't it? Yeah, I don't know anything about it. It'd be cool to see what you guys know. And Northampton's one of those weird ones. And I say weird, I mean in my head geographically, not actually geographically. I just mean in my strange head. Because I live in Cambridge. And Cambridge to Northampton, to me, never seems like a big, like a too far a journey. It was about an hour and a bit, Northampton, really. And I've been there loads of times throughout my life. Funnily enough, my dad actually lived there when he was very, very little. My grandparents moved there in 1958 for a year. Well, my grandpa worked for a shoe company. Hence Northampton, cobblers, that whole thing. But geographically to me, it's not that far away. But then when I think about being on the West Coast Main Line, I always think of the West Coast Main Line being the opposite side of the country. And it's like, it's really not. I mean, like, it really, really, really isn't the other side of the country to me at all. But it's just one of those weird things. I think growing up, West Coast Main Line, that side of the country, East Coast Main Line, this side of the country. Whereas they both come out of London and do that very slowly, don't they? So every time I'm doing this, I'm like, Northampton is right near me. It's like Bedford as well. It's like, that's only around the corner. Oh, no, it's not. But it is. So yeah, Longbuckby, ladies and gentlemen. I don't have much to say about it or know anything about it, really. But it looks pretty. It looks well done. I do like it. It's really in keeping with West Coast Man. So don't get me wrong. I mean, this route could have been a lot more money and have tons more done to it than it is. Could have had loads more bits and pieces, but it would have meant the route was more money and it would have made it stand out from West Coast Mainline South. Now, saying that, I suppose I'll come on to that now. As much as you guys will be aware, there is plans for the West Coast Mainline merge. And we had real difficulty with that off the last build that we made of it. It just would not work. I mean, I could easily drive it from one end of the country to the other. But anytime you put more than, say, 50 AI into it, which you need for that sort of length of route, it was just dumping. And it was doing really strange things like dropping the scenario markers in a different place than where they started. It did lots of odd things. So we've had to sort of go right back to sort of the beginning with that one and remerge, and we're going to remerge in sections and see if we can really pin down exactly where the fault lies, or if we get the fault again. And when I say West Coast Mainline merge, at the moment what we expect it to be is London to Preston. There is also the question of, do we go via Trent Valley as well? I'm not going to be able to answer that question fully for you now, but there are plans for us to be able to do it. How remains up for discussion, but there are plans for us to be able to do it. And that brings me on to the upgrade stuff. So in the original merge, Pete spent a good, quite a long time sorting out lots of track issues, speed limits, signalling stuff, and it basically was near enough re-signalled all the way on the West Coast Mainline South section. But with the instability of the route now, when it's not like we can copy anything particularly over. So that will be probably redone when we restart the West Coast Mainline merge process. So you will get the upgrades to the West Coast Mainline South. I still doubt it will include the OHLE because it is an incredibly long route to do the OHLE. As you'll see here, we're just using DTG OHLE in this. That is to keep it in line with the West Coast Mainline South. So we don't use the ATS OHLE in this purely because keep the requirements as low as possible, and it'd be weird coming from DTG's OHLE to ATS OHLE. If we were going to redo the whole thing, then fine. But we haven't. We've used the DTG OHLE. So that means that A, you've got less requirements, but also it is still a job that needs done on the West Coast Mainline South. It's a big job. It's a big job. So we'll see how that upgrade looks and what that's going to entail the closer we get to it, really. But it is a project we want to see through. And you know fine well, if you all know Pete, Speedy Pete, he will want the West Coast Mainline merge out without a shadow of a doubt. So it will happen. It will happen. It is on thy cards. In fact, I think this being released is also part of it. Once we've got this out of the way, we can then start allocating the time we had with this onto stuff with the merge as well. So for me, it's one of those really nice country drives. It's not like as start-stop as, say, like some of the bits of the West Coast Mainline, especially if you're doing the stopper, like this is. I mean, this goes 1, 2... This has got 15 stops. This service. But this section, it's quite chilled. 75 mile per hour running, nice scenery, 2 stations to worry about. Nice bit of route. And scenario-wise, you should get plenty of nice AI. And even when you guys get your hands on it and you can put all the requirements in you want, you'll have even more. Of course, the scenarios that come with this route. Let's go for them, shall we? Actually, let's talk about requirements. What are the requirements for this route? You ready? West Coast Mainline South. That is the only requirement. The West Coast Mainline South by DTG, which is available on Steam, is the only requirement you need for the route. Okay? That is it. There are requirements for the scenarios, right? But you don't have to play the scenarios. You can make your own, whatever. You can do what you want that way. But for the route itself, West Coast Mainline South is the only requirement. Scenario-wise, we have 5. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. So we have 4 Oscar 1 through, which is Daventry to Southampton Maritime. We're 66. Then we have 9 Sierra 47, which is me running at a slower speed. 0850 London Euston to Birmingham New Street. That's a 390. That's so first scenario is 105 minutes, next scenario is 130 minutes. 1 Yankee 06 is the 0535 Birmingham New Street to London Euston, which is what we're driving now. And that's in the 350, as you can see. And it's 135 minutes in total. And then 2 Yankee 05 is the 0606 Northampton to Birmingham New Street. That's in a 350 as well, and that's 85 minutes. And then 5 Bravo 04, which is 1750 Northampton EMD to Bletchley carriage sidings, which is in a 319, and that is 50 minutes. So it gets us a bit of 319 action as well, which I do like about this route. Does give us that stretch for the 319. So you've got a little bit of variety there. Amazing length in scenarios. I mean, each one of those is at least sort of 30, 40 minutes on this section alone. So it's got plenty of playability straight out of the box there, which I quite like. But as always, it's you guys out there that will make the route what it really will be with the scenarios. And the other thing I do like about this is the lack of requirements for the route. It is a nice little touch, and because loads of people will have West Coast Mainline South anyway, it's a really easy access route. It's a nice little route into the ATS sort of ecosystem. It's a nice little way in. And that brings me on, we can talk about price. We can talk about price. I usually talk about price at the end, but I don't need to. I can talk about price now because it's my product. So the price for this is $13.99 if you are not subscribed to ATS, and $7.99 if you are a subscriber. So a bargain. In my eyes, an absolute bargain. Because if you're already subbed, $7.99, it's a lot of route for not a lot of money, that. And at $13.99, even if you're not subscribed, it's a good bit of value. 27 miles of route, 5 scenarios. Yeah. It's good going. But, of course, it's much better value if you're subscribed, which I recommend you do. So this is us running into Northampton now. I'll try and stay outside a bit. I've done a lot of inside. So keep an eye on my AWS as well, because if that goes off, I find it really difficult driving outside the cab. Some people are pro at it. I really dislike it. And we will do some stopping and flying around as we come past the depot in that. Oh, see? Even with the visual aids, makes me panic. I'll probably start flying around just a second. I'll probably fly around here before we fly around at Northampton. There's some quite cool, really quite complex track work stuff here. So the way this all sort of diverges off into different gradients is crazy. I know this wasn't easy for Danny, who did the track, and Pete, who was doing sort of the bits around. And then, of course, you had Cameron coming in doing like the scenic work around it. So it's quite mad what's been done here. Again, the depot is one of the places where if we had an unlimited budget, we would have gone overboard and it would have had loads of stuff. But it fits the purpose of what we need and fits the scope for this route really, really well. It does what it needs to do on the tin and it looks right. It does the right thing. I'm pleased with it. I'm really pleased with it. Now, there's yards down here as well. All of this is all in. It's all usable. I think Kingsley's Depot is correctly signalled. There's one of the yards we couldn't get fully accurate signalling diagrams for, but it is still signalled enough for you to be able to use it. Don't get me wrong, it's absolutely fine to use, but it isn't exact as it would be in real life. It's a best guesstimate. Hopefully, in the coming months, we'll be able to access that data and be able to update that, and that will be something that will come as an update. It was something we'd like to get in, but we weren't waiting any longer for the data we needed. So if you do have that data, or you have access to it, or know someone who can, please let them get in touch with us, and we can get that update done ASAP. That'd be fantastic. But yeah, Kingsley Depot, ladies and gentlemen, 350 land. And again, all done to West Coast Mainline South, sort of standard with the West Coast Mainline South OHLE. So you get sort of those seamless transitions, really. And this is Northampton. I like this bit. This is Max's handiwork. He built this station. I love it. I never thought, even though I've been to Northampton like loads, like I said earlier, I could never have told you in my head where Northampton Station was. I'm sure I've passed it loads, but I couldn't, and I had no idea really how big it was until I started playing the original West Coast Mainline 5.3, the Alex 55 route. Stop all the way down there. Look. So a big shout out to Chris Horsfield. Actually, he did the stop car positioning for this and the night lighting. So you're going to have like NSE standard night lighting on this route as well, which will look lovely for this bit. T and U, stick you into there. I don't even need to put you neutral to be completely honest, but we can do just to be on the safe side. I can't because I've got to put the brake on that bit more. There we go. Sure. I won't pause it just yet. Right, Northampton Station. So you have the main building, which is strange, but I find it quite nice. I quite like the idea of the big pink sort of side panels and the way the brick and the cladding works quite nicely together against a sort of big sort of cladded pylons as well, and the glass. I think it looks awesome. You've even got that, I don't know what they call it. I need to ask my brother because this sort of stuff he does. It looks like wood, but it's a composite panel, of course it is, but I don't actually know what they call it. You've got your over bridges that are bringing down. I've never been to I have been to Northampton. I keep thinking I have, but I don't think I have. There are little Easter eggs as such in here. They're not really Easter eggs because they're there in real life. And anyone who's been to Northampton will know of the eagles, or well, don't ask me what it is because I'm not very good at birds. I'm guessing it's some sort of falcon, not an eagle. But there are, I think there's also an owl as well, isn't there? There's an owl as well. I couldn't find this on the stream the last time. Everybody was shouting at me, telling me where it was, and I still didn't find it. And now everybody's going to watch this video and go, Alan, you're such a muppet. We told you where it was the last time. Oh, there's another one. There's the owl. I think if I remember rightly, the owl sort of... Oh, he doesn't. I thought he did. I thought he was going to... When we had the original one of them followed you really bad. It was quite freaky. But it was a bit of just a crap texture, really. But yeah, looking really nice, Northampton Station. Got all your waiting rooms, your little huts, all your usuals. And this weird sort of, yeah, like brushy bit in the middle of the platform, which I thought was like somebody like let something grow there that shouldn't when I was looking at this in the stream, and then no, in real life it does have grass like that in the middle. There's quite a few stations have it really, isn't there? Trying to think the other way, right next to the canal as well. So Harlow, I think it's got something similar. But anyway, that is the Northampton. One of my favourite bits actually is this bit, which we'll be pulling out over in a minute. This little junction here. It's like a multitude of different bridges. And I did ask where that branch line went on my last stream of this, but can I remember where it went? Not for Toffee. I do apologise. Yeah, this section, especially coming into Northampton, this section, I think it just looks really cool. You sort of see the station pulling in. It's a nice touch. So again, from cab level, you just got everything you need, man. I love it. It's got the right feel to it. And again, the feel, let's give credit to DTG where it's due. The feel is very similar to the West Coast Main Line South, and it's got that same sort of feel to it, which I like. Start hitting, this is one of the, there's two long tunnels, I think, two quite long tunnels. That was one thing I need to know. Wikipedia states that there was only, the maximum on the line was 75 mile an hour. That's not true anymore. There's a 90 mile an hour section and we're just about to hit it. Should have been more prepped for that, I should say, considering I was watching my speed. So you see the trackside detail, we've put the little bits in where they need to be, but we've not gone over the top. Again, this route is built to the West Coast Main Line South standards. And that's not to say in whenever we get the merge done that this doesn't get a bit of an update as well. That's true, and if we get little bits and pieces as we go, then there's no reason why this can't get those updates as well. We've actually got a big update going out for a couple of routes coming up and a couple of packs that have got some new bits and some reworked bits and some fixes and some modernisations and some quality of life improvements and some upgrades. So it's something we really like to be able to do, is go back and keep updating routes as and when we can. You see here, it definitely feels like more mainliney, doesn't it? And you are that sort of little bit more sort of south, sort of Cambridgeshire way. It's not as hilly, it's not as built in. I say so Cambridgeshire, you know what I mean, like a bit more east, even though we're just a bit more south, but you get what I mean with my bad geography. And of course, our max speed on this run is 110 as well. On the loop, faster gets 90. This bit's nice as well. I love this bit. This reminds me, it's like Thomas the Tankish, this section coming on back onto the West Coast Main Line. I don't know why. I think it's the overbridge and this bit coming through here. I should say model railway like, I suppose. And that's us back on the West Coast Main Line South. Back to DTG land. And I hope it was seamless. I really, really do. I'm proud of it. I'm proud of it. It's been one of those projects that's been on the back burner. It's been started and then it's been sort of, oh, we've had to take someone off to put someone else here, and that project will just have to wait. And then we've had somebody else have to do something else. Oh, that project will have to wait. And then somebody go, oh, I've done loads on that route, by the way. And you go, oh, wicked, let's get it all done. Oh, but I need to go do something else. And thankfully, Pete gave this a good push a little while ago, and everybody has pulled their finger out, and we've got a beautiful route out of it. So a big thank you to the team. Talking of team, credits are Mr. Mitchell for overall route, track and scenery, Dan Shepherd for track, Cameron Forbes for scenery, Bradley Milligan did some station assets, Max did station assets, and Richard Fletcher for scenarios. And of course Kieran for getting into the launcher and for that, and a big shout out to the beta team who have also been great with this route as well. It's been one of those that was in alpha, then came into beta a little bit, and then we had a bit of a flap with stuff, and then so it sort of stayed in beta a bit longer than it should have done. Then everybody had to go back and do a bit of testing on it. So I'm really pleased that those guys still had the oomph and drive to actually do it. So a big thanks to the beta team as well, guys. Much appreciated. And I suppose I'm not going to really waste the rest of your time taking this into Wolverton, because you've all seen it. You know what it's like, the rest of this section. I'll let you guys get on and enjoy your day. Or, you know, head over to Alan Thomson Sim and buy it. Whatever suits you, really. All right, and guys, thanks ever so much for watching. Please feel free to like, share and subscribe. Head over to Alan Thomson Sim for your latest and greatest train sim needs. And I will catch you guys again next time. Oh, I haven't got my button up. All the best. Take care.